Black Mirror is a cultural touchstone for me. I first saw the series in high school, when the original Channel 4 episodes made their way to Netflix, and it felt then like some of the defining art of the 2010s. When the streamer became its permanent home, the show's footprint became as big as it deserved to be. Much like The Twilight Zone, the genre-inflected anthology precursor we can't help but compare it to, I believe Black Mirror has left a lasting mark. Its name means something specific, even to people who haven't actually seen an episode. How interesting it is to watch a show like that try to change. An anthology series will inevitably push its own boundaries, and debate about what is and isn't a Black Mirror episode hasn't stopped since the first Netflix season. But Season 6 was a conscious effort to grow beyond the show's zeitgeist definition, tech-focused, dystopian, thought-provoking, and, usually, a real gut punch that yielded mixed results. Even if I'd welcome more Red Mirror-branded stories, supernatural tales set in the analog past might be straying too far. Season the 7th of May seemed like a return to fundamentals, especially at first. But a noticeable focus on its own history is really a means of continued testing, with smaller degrees of change. Something at the core of these episodes is different, whether tonally, formally, thematically, or all of the above. An instinct to emotionally or morally provoke us has faded. Even undeniably bleak storylines didn't leave me with that feeling I used to have to walk off. What remains is thoughtful, imaginative, and still inconsistent, but maybe most effective when it reaches for something new. Black Mirror Season 7 is a journey through the show's history. And it starts off in the safest territory. There are 6 new episodes this season, all of which I've seen. I'll touch on each, in their recommended order, without divulging too much of what happens. But to get at what I'd like to about this show's evolution, I will have to discuss how they feel. Common People, a good but instructive lead-off, is what clued me in. I expect it will strike many as the season's most Black Mirror-y episode. A relatively normal and happy couple, Chris O'Dowd and Rashida Jones, have their lives upended when an accident compels the husband to approve an experimental procedure to save his wife. As new wrinkles emerge, we watch them sink deeper into a hole that, in classic Black Mirror fashion, we know has no bottom. With all the clever commentary you'd expect, Common People proves right away there are still more tetchy nightmares to mine from reality. But for all its channeling of the familiar, it isn't quite the same. 10 years ago, this show would have pushed the premise further, or made us feel worse. There's no weaponization of our empathy here that would leave us questioning our own code of ethics. There are only these people we relate to, having to make hard decisions we can understand, beset by the evils of corporate greed and indifference. The failings or compromises that might have been judged harshly in past seasons are instead looked at sympathetically, as if the circumstances they're trapped in have left them no alternatives. This distinction proved prophetic. Bête Noire reaches for that moral ambiguity I'm referencing, as Sienna Kelly's Maria finds her workplace invaded by Verity, Rosie McEwen, who she hasn't seen since high school. Then a bullied outcast, Verity's now beautiful and well-liked, and Maria seems to be the only one uneasy around her. When inexplicable happenings undermine Maria's position at work, she is immediately convinced that Verity is somehow responsible. Maria and a colleague looking suspiciously past the camera in Black Mirror Season 7, Episode 2 Image via Netflix. There is quality here, in the performances and camera work especially, but it's the least successful episode of this batch for me. In a slight difference to Common People, this premise should have been pushed further, but the old knife is dulled and just doesn't cut like it used to. This part of the journey through the show's past that I think this season represents, you'll find echoes, big and small, of previous stories pretty much everywhere, has exposed something that just doesn't fit with the way creator Charlie Brooker's sensibilities have changed over 14 years. If Bête Noire is the least successful, Hotel Reverie is the messiest. The title is shared with an old, Casablanca-style movie in this universe, which a down-on-its-luck legacy studio is desperate to exploit on the cheap. Enter Awkwafina, whose company can create an artificially intelligent simulation that would allow the movie to be remade with the original look and cast. The only difference, assuming all goes well, would be current Hollywood star Brandy Melville, Issa Rae, stepping into the, originally male, romantic lead role. That it's the most comic episode, which sometimes works in its favor and sometimes doesn't. It is also this season's attempt to chase the high of San Junipero, Black Mirror's joyful exception that proved the bleak rule, which has never been a strategy I've appreciated. I can see what Hotel Reverie is trying to do, dramatically, but with its crashing of tones, and of modern and classic performance styles, it doesn't quite thread the needle. But there's still much to appreciate here, the always excellent Emma Corrin's performance as a recreated 1940s starlet most of all. Season 7's last 3 episodes are its strongest. And they each point to where Black Mirror could go next. Black Mirror Season 7 takes an interesting turn at its midpoint, and the 3 episodes that follow are its best. To explain why, I'll break my promise to tackle them in order. Episode 4, Plaything, is essentially a spin-off of Bandersnatch, the interactive, 1980s set Black Mirror movie about a young man's doomed attempt to build a choose-your-own-adventure video game. In the near future, a man, Peter Capaldi, caught shoplifting is linked to an unsolved murder and detained. To explain, he must first go back to the 90s, when he was a young video game journalist, Lewis Gribben. He was once assigned to cover the new game from designer Colin Rittman, Will Poulter, who had a similarly fateful run-in with Bandersnatch's protagonist. The game never made it to shelves, and just as well, it became this man's obsession. There's an energy to the filmmaking that makes clear this episode genuinely excited its makers. A retro past and an advanced near-future collide in Plaything, and Black Mirror has something to say about how our relationship with tech of the past has influenced how we approach it now. This is clearly their preferred way to say it in 2025. Episode 6, USS Callister, Into Infinity, jumps from spin-off to direct sequel, a Black Mirror first. It picks up right where Season 4, Episode 1 left off, with Robert Daly, Jesse Plemons, dead, and his captive virtual clones of colleagues free to roam the universe of the online game he created. At almost 90 minutes, it's the longest installment of the season, and Netflix clearly invested a lot in its production. It's also undeniably the season's most fun episode. Nanette standing with her arms crossed in the bridge of the USS Callister in Black Mirror Season 7 Episode 6 image via Netflix. That might be a strange adjective for Black Mirror, but it's somewhat applied to the original.